Welcome back, everybody, to the Premier League therapy session. My name is Niall. I'm your host. This is the Upper Tier, joined as always by my co-host.
Tonight, I'm going to be lying down on the couch and discussing some things.
I'm going to be calling him basically Pack tonight because he's the bastard, because he went in hard on me this morning and I wasn't ready for it.
Me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus.
Yeah. So my co-host, the bastard, is here tonight, absolutely. But we're going to have a bit of fun tonight. We're going to try and perk ourselves up. We'll take a look back at last night and Tuesday night just for our sins quickly. We'll have a Premier League preview for you. We'll be a quick little look at the Champions League coming up next week again also. And we'll also be talking about the Liverpool managerial situation. We'll get Darren's thoughts on the Hall of Fame inductees for 2024. See his thoughts on that. And we'll also be talking, Marky sent me a slide on a couple of new officiating rules coming into the MLS.
I did see them.
Good. So we get
and I liked them.
Yeah, very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go to the OGs in the chat. Already, this man was absolutely on fire on Monday night, and he was also on fire during the pro wrestling show as well. He's having a heck of a week. I'm having a terrible
week. You know who else is on fire?
Go on.
Phil Foden.
Absolutely. It's just...
He was the last player I had to play in my fantasy football.
Nice.
He's obviously 2 goals, 8 points. He should get another 2 points for playing 60 minutes or more, which will bring him to 10. And with the 2 goals, more than likely get the 3 bonuses up to about 13.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break the 140 point barrier this week.
Good.
In a single game week, that's impressive. I'm gonna take it.
I seen a guy's one yesterday. He just put it up on Twitter, and he'd about 150 or 160 or something. But he had Mateta and all and stuff like that. Boy, oh boy, that guy is on fire under Glasner, isn't he?
Yeah.
But let's go through some of the comments first. As always, folks, make sure you're subscribing and hitting the bell notification button. Also, make sure you check out my reaction to the Everton game. It was absolutely devastating.
Have we recorded that?
It's done. It's up there.
I might have a look at that later when I'm in bed, just for a chuckle.
Not pretty. And I also released this evening Dark Side of the Ring review. Sherry Martel, probably my favourite Dark Side of the Ring episode that they've released, certainly this season. Certainly tugs on the heartstrings, gives you everything, dark emotion and all, everything in between. Of course, we're big fans of Sherry Martel, of course, but lots in there that I didn't know about, that you guys might be interested in as well, that you might not have known about. But very, very interesting.
That'd be cool.
Certainly was Dark Side. Big up, Romy One Kenobi, just slotting in to say hello, you absolute wretch.
Good man, Romy.
Acers is in, 4 in a row, wrapped up. Great Premier. Get Premier title immediately to Etihad. Baz is in. Evening, lads. What's the crack?
Good man, Baz.
Hope Baz had a good day yesterday. Just saying.
Little bit of Wednesday tear talk.
Tear
talk or tit talk on a Wednesday?
No, Wednesday is Pro Wrestling Weekly. There you go.
That's the one.
Thursday is Thursday tear talk. There you go. Gelled up Wolverine taking one hell of a beating. Absolutely. Pep rocked up with the Mama Rhodes belt, and he's absolutely whipping the Serbia at the moment.
Gelled up Wolverine.
Gelled up Wolverine. That's good, isn't it? You like that?
Oh my God.
Joanna's in as always. Right. How are you, Joanne? Good to see you. And Henry's in as well.
Joanne,
what's the crack? Just finished the podcast.
Joanne sent me a picture of a cake at the weekend.
I know.
And it was absolutely sensational. I have a big birthday this year, Joanne. That cake may end up getting recreated. Just saying.
There you go. Might have to freeze dry a slice of it and send it over to Joanne.
Absolutely.
Yo Dazzler from Henry. Joanne's in.
Hey, Henry.
Yes, looks like Arsenal will be second this season. You guys are going to feel my pain. I have felt this
I don't know, Joanne. I think they're still in it.
Absolutely.
Now, you know what I do think? I do think Spurs will put paid to you at the weekend the same way Everton did Liverpool. And it'll be your closest rivals that end your title hopes. Oh, God, that's bitter, isn't it? Oh, Jesus.
And if that happens, it's game over.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Henry back in. The title is way over. City will win the title. Arsenal and us will fight out for second.
I don't know, Henry. I think you're going to quietly back into a corner and take towards spot and say nothing.
We will be reviewing the Arsenal-Chelsea game. Don't worry, Morris. Just for you. No bother.
Was it on the Chelsea Roar? No.
No, it wasn't. But the Chelsea Roar might be on with me tomorrow night. So let's see what happens. That's the talk. We're going to put something together. It's going to be a kind of no kind of plan. Just go on, chat about life and what's going on and different things and stuff like that, and what we're watching on telly, how we feel football's going, how we feel about pro wrestling. Just to talk what we did before, jelly bean mixed bag.
If that's not enough to lose subs, nothing is. Like, I mean,
that is a reason to sub. How dare you?
Why are the numbers dwindling?
Has to be me. I'm Mr. Consistent.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. No, there we'll be talking about Fallout. I've watched Fallout based on the game. I never played the game. We'll probably be talking about that baby reindeer as well. Good Lord.
Haven't seen that either.
It is crazy. If you want to see something really crazy and you're not really into it, just go to episode 4. Just watch episode 4. Good Lord. Niall, cry me a river, Liverpool reaction. Careful now. Easy, Acers.
Easy, Jerry.
Easy, Tiger.
Jerry,
I like the Tony Storm cake.
Jerry.
There you go. Don't mention AEW. Good Lord. I just do think Man City games they got left are easy. Listen.
I think when you look at the way the run-in is coming, City did enough with the games they played, and then with the ones that are left, if they can just coast through them, I think, and looking at them, I think they will. I think that's just where, you guys still had a couple of big games left each that City didn't have.
Yeah, where Arsenal could stumble against Spurs, City will go out and batter them.
Possibly. Now, listen,
and that's the difference. Look, everyone plays everyone twice.
Of course, absolutely. But there are optimum times to hit teams and stuff like that. Teams go through runs of form and, they go on up cycles and down cycles in the whole shooting match. So I think timing is impeccable. But that's not to say that, a Manchester derby can't be won by anybody, or, United Liverpool, or, Spurs and Arsenal.
Both our teams' time to do that was when City were away at the Super Cup and the World Club Cup. And we made an absolute shambles of it. So, don't matter. I just do think Man City games, they got left easy. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. Henry, Chelsea never turned up. Certainly didn't. I got to do my schedule for tomorrow. Good man. Put it together. Keep the grind going. Morris, just talk to him about the Poch project and Todd. Jack Perry last night was quality, Noel. I'm loving this run he's on, and he looks so much like Luke Perry now. That'll upset Darren now. That clip didn't land for me at all. Although I was accused of bigging it up, but I'll just say that. John Summers, thoughts on Sabozzo? His form has fallen off a cliff. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. I've no idea. I need to figure out what the hell he's playing.
I think at times, especially when it's your first season, I think at one stage it looked like he was finding some rhythm. And I think when he came out with the injury and stuff like that, I think he just hasn't found the same rhythm. Is he the same footballer? Absolutely. And I mean, like, if we look at Hoyland at United, so again, we saw very early signs that this could work. And then, it was a little bit of a slow burn. And then we got the goals that we were looking for. And he went on this run, January, February, everything was really, really good. And then he got injured. And then he's had a few games without the goal where he was still trying to build himself back up again. Gets the goal last night. Again, I fully expect him to finish the season in good form now, that he'll start to build that confidence again. So I think it's just, he's just going through waves. I think first season is always tough for guys coming into the Premier League. It's such a massive step up in, in pace. Everything is just, it's accelerated to the point where you just don't have a minute to think in comparison to, if he's come in from, say, Germany and he receives a ball in the middle of that pitch, he takes a touch, looks up, opens out and spreads a ball. You don't have that time in a Premier League game.
Culturally,
You
it's so
just don't
different
have
as
it.
well. And he's only a young lad as well, you know. I mean, must be
Absolutely.
22
I
or
think
something.
he's a really good footballer. I certainly would have no fears about him, to be honest with you. I like to give players the benefit of the doubt. If they've shown me they can do something, well, then that's their level. They need to reach that level consistently, but that's their level. Footballers don't get bad overnight, you know.
I think the problem with Liverpool at the moment, and you know, we'll obviously get into it, but I don't think it's any particular player. The whole team
No.
has fallen off the cliff. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
100%.
So, as I said to you this morning when we were chatting and all, I can give you a reason for literally every player there, bar 4 players, a reason that they could be changed to. So that tells you where we're at.
They've all fallen off a cliff because the guy who's been holding the rope has just let go.
Yeah.
And that's,
you know, we spoke about it this morning when we were chatting even. Arsenal should just send us to do the final boss on Man City again. Absolutely. I think we would beat Tottenham. That would be a huge statement if you do. Cocaine Can took Young Bucks Meltzer driver like a pro. Did he though? Jack Perry couldn't draw the ball.
You are so right now, Morris. Morris is so right.
The pressure is off Arsenal now, so I think they will win. I don't think the pressure's off Arsenal. I think you have a manager there at the moment, and the expectation is that he delivers. I don't think there's any less pressure.
You know what? I think personally, there'll be no one feels more pressure than Mikel Arteta on the basis that he fully thinks he's in this.
Yeah.
I don't believe for 1 minute, you know, he'll walk off at the end of the season and say, we finished on 86 points, we came second. That's a good season. I think that would break his heart. I think he'd go, you know
Especially after last season.
I think he'd be like, you know what, this isn't it. When I imagine if you know, if we're getting holidays on the fucking 28th of May, he's in there on the 29th because he's like, you know what, I need to get set for next season. I need to find out who's coming in, who's going out, and I need to start putting plans in place to close that little marginal gap that we couldn't close this season on City, you know? I think Arteta's done a great job. Really do.
And remember, I wouldn't be reactory on tonight either because we expect City to go and beat Brighton. This is not a shock. You know what I mean? And the other thing as well, at the end of tonight, regardless of what City do, Arsenal are still going to be top of the league.
Yeah. So. City have the game in hand, but they also have an inferior goal difference. So, you know, what do you want? Do you want the money? Do you want the points on the table and the goals in the bank? Like, you know.
Acers, you know he's not rocking up to the NFL draft in a neck brace. He's not that clever. No striker, no trophy. We've said it time and time again.
Yeah.
Although you're not short of goals at the moment. Stand and deliver your money or your life.
No, but they do need even somebody that can hold the ball up and allow guys like Martinelli and Saka to get into the game. Do you know?
Roll me one Kenobi. I just support all wrestling. All these WWE and fanboys fighting like it's World War III is laughable. Ding ding. Joanne, Arsenal are like someone with diarrhea. They need a good clear out. Wouldn't go that far. Huge clear out? Good clear out?
I'd say they need a good clear out.
How many players are you talking about? Arsenal now.
Arsenal, oh yeah, absolutely.
Many players would you be taking out without going down into names? You're talking half the team? What's a good clear out?
Not half the team, but I think the squad is light. I don't necessarily think, I think starting 11 wise, there's maybe 3 positions in the starting 11 that I feel like are up for grabs.
3 positions.
They've no left back.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they'd like another midfielder to come in and play alongside Rice and Odegaard. Partey's been injured for most of the year, and Jorginho's just not at the level consistently. He has good games and bad games, drops on, drops off. And I think they need a number 9.
Partey is likely to leave anyway this summer, isn't he?
And I think they need a 9 as well. Now, the big talk is obviously they're in the shooting match for Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, apparently. They're heavily linked with him. But then, like, bring Bruno in next to Rice and Odegaard. That's top drawer. That's unbelievable. Yeah, Eddie. Well, Cedric goes anyway because his contract is gone. Yeah. And Nene the same. Eddie. Like, you could comfortably see 6 leave Arsenal in the summer. And with that, you may promote 2 and bring another 4 in. Like, that, they're big changes for a team that finished second in the league.
But the changes you need to make, because if you're second,
you need a 9, you need a centre midfielder, and you need a nailed on left back that you go, he's playing every single week. Because you've got that with Saliba and Gabriel, and you've got that with Ben White. But you don't have that on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a bit reactionary. I don't think the whole squad needs to go.
No.
Eddie needs to go first.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be players as Darren said will go by default anyway.
Yeah.
Give us a look back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Take us through just overall kind of thoughts at the moment. I know we've been close to the Chelsea story throughout the season and stuff like that.
Yeah. I suppose the first thing was I didn't see any football live because I was working late both nights, Tuesday and Wednesday. So I kind of peeped into the Arsenal game at one stage, and I was like, "Geez, it's 3-0." I said, "This is fucking," now, like up until about the 60th minute, it was 1-0. Chelsea were sort of in the game. Now, yeah, Petrovic was making saves and whatever, but it was kind of like when the second and third went in, the heads went down, they just snowballed. And I don't think Pochettino will enjoy that. Seeing them, excuse me, for want of a better word, they almost gave up. They almost just said, "Yeah, that's grand. We're going to take our beating here, and we're going to toddle off into the sunset." Do you know what I mean? It was poor from Chelsea. It was poor. Now, don't get me wrong. They have a lot of injuries at Chelsea. They do. Probably their two of their best players in recent times have been the boy Malo Gusto and Cole Palmer, who are both ruled out late in the day.
Yeah.
And that takes that's very deflating for the guys who are playing as well, because all of a sudden, the guy who's been lining up for you and who's been giving you a chance to win football matches, Cole Palmer, is nowhere to be seen. And I think that was massively deflating for them. One small talking point from that game, I must say. Can somebody please explain to me how Nicholas Jackson didn't get a red?
Yeah, that was something that came up. The other thing you need to explain is how he missed those 2 chances.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. He's been missing those chances all season. So was that a shock? Probably not. I actually think a lot of his all-round play is quite good. I think some of his link-up play is very good. I think he drops deep and picks the ball up well and runs at players and creates space for other players around him very well. I think the one thing he hasn't done very well is he hasn't finished. Now, initially, when he came in, say, at Villarreal, there was a very similar pattern appeared. He was playing games. He was contributing in games. He was creating space in games. He was bringing other players into the game, but he couldn't score the goals. And then in the latter stage of Villarreal, he became a little more prolific. So I think that's what Chelsea would be hoping for. He's still very, very young, the boy Jackson.
Yeah. There's the childish naivety to him, isn't there, in those key moments?
Absolutely. I think in all of his play, like if we look at the tackle, if we look at the whole thing with the penalty, he's very young and immature. And I think that's something that you can't rush. He needs to just learn himself from his own mistakes and try and make better choices and decisions in the future.
Yeah. 4-0 to City. Julian Alvarez has just scored on 62 minutes.
Julian Alvarez
finds the net with the right foot. There we go. Cole Palmer FC has felt that way all season. That's for
Absolutely
sure.
Has.
And I tell you, do you know what I'm going to be really interested to see next season? If he can maintain and build on the level that he's created this season, it'll be very interesting to see. Matt, that some Chelsea fans called Nicholas Jackson Baby Drogba not long ago. There is actually parallels to that, isn't there? Because remember when Drogba came in first, he wasn't that prolific, and then he kind of found his way as well. So there is parallels between them there.
There is,
I was just thinking that when he mentioned Drogba there, very, very similar. 4-0 City Acer says,
Thanks,
absolutely. Dear. Training sessions for City, absolutely. What's new?
Wednesday night then, obviously huge result for Bournemouth. Wolves have kind of a little bit of a wall at the minute. Just finding goals so difficult to come by. Obviously, you had to buy Matthias Cunha back a couple of weeks ago, got a couple of goals, and then boom, back out with a team again through injury. So I think that's tough for them. I think Palace, it's a terrific win from Palace. 3 on the bounce now under Glasner. They've beaten Liverpool away from home, and then they've beaten West Ham and Newcastle at home. 2 clean sheets in those games, like 8 goals scored. That's super form from Crystal Palace. I mean, three of the most informed players in the league right now have got to be Elise, Eze, and the boy Mateta. They've been phenomenal. I thought we got out of jail to a degree. I definitely felt like we were value for it, over the course of the 90 minutes. But I do feel like Sheffield United were unlucky at times. And I thought with a couple of decisions, they got a little bit unlucky as well. And then for me, I suppose that the big shock of the night was obviously at Goodison. I saw Everton scored pretty early, and I was like, oh, this is going to make a decent game of it, but I definitely still thought Liverpool were going to be able to get out of there certainly with a point and probably with 3. Obviously after the good win away at Fulham at the weekend. But then I kind of seen what was going on in the chat and saw the result, made me way home, came in, started watching highlights and match of the day and bits and pieces on Sky and whatever. And you just looked and it was men against boys. It was men against boys. I thought Everton were phenomenal. I really do. I really did. I think they've had a couple of performances like that at Goodison this season, where they just shut up shop and they're just at it in that upper end of the pitch and they're pressing and they're hassling. I think the thing for Sean Dyche is I think next season will be easier. Obviously you're not going to have a points deduction. He'll have had a season with them. He'll know what works, what doesn't work, what changes to make. Like, I could see Everton taking a huge step up the table next season. And what I mean by huge is, if we talk about them in a relegation battle this season, I think next season, Everton could be top half of the league. And I think that would be massive for Everton after a couple of tough seasons. If they could even nick it a 9th or a 10th place next year, I think that would be another great year under Sean Dyche.
Yeah, I guess it depends if there's no more kind of FFP or profit and sustainability issues coming down the pan next season as well. So that will be vital.
You'd have to think that as part of their issue was that they used the formula in the wrong correct way, or they used the wrong formula, whatever it was. Yeah. That now that's all sorted, we shouldn't have a huge issue with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll be interesting to see. And look, for me, a lot of Liverpool fans will turn around and they'd be on the Everton relegation thing and stuff like that. I wouldn't be on that at all. I love the Merseyside derby,
absolutely,
both of them, and I love the feeling of it. I love when it comes around. I love when the city comes together for it, and that feeling that it's a big deal. And for me, Everton in the Premier League are a big deal. They're founding fathers. They've always been there and stuff like that and all. So a lot of people throw shade on it and stuff like that. I don't necessarily have an issue with Everton Football Club and stuff like that. I thought they were excellent last night. I thought we were basically a bunch of cowards. And I think that's what I said in the preview. I said, if you rock up there and you don't fancy it and you don't put in a leg and you don't make a statement early on in the game, you're going to get rolled over, because that's what Everton do. That crowd right on top of you. They shout from minute 1 to minute 90 and support their team. And hats off to that Everton fan base as well, because this season they haven't had a huge amount to shout about, and they're still there at it every single week.
Absolutely.
So
I suppose when you talk about that and you talk about Liverpool and Everton and stuff like that, for me, obviously when we were over at the game a couple of weeks ago and we were leaving the stadium, part of the car park was closed off, so we had to come around through one of the streets. Excuse me. And you're walking down this, to set the tone, this kind of old street, just within touching distance of Anfield. And we go from red door to red door. And then we go from red door to blue door. And then we go red door, blue door. And it was just like, these are just normal people, side by side, living as neighbours. They get up every day. And it is a much more of a sort of friendly rivalry. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would say there's a lot of kind of hate in the United Liverpool, in that game. There's a lot of hate and there's a lot of built up aggression and stuff like that. I feel like the Merseyside derby almost at times unites a city, which I think is lovely. Everybody just puts their colours on, and you've heard it before. Like certain members of a family are Everton fans, and certain members of a family are Liverpool fans, and they all sit together and watch the game. And like we generally wouldn't do that on a United Liverpool game.
Yeah.
We be all doing our own thing, and trying to get our own little fucking habits and whatever we do when it's game day and stuff like that. But these guys, for them, it's a much more of a family occasion, and it's about the city as well. And I think that's cool. I think that's really, really cool. Really, really cool. Something that you don't get in a lot of other derbies or games like that, know.
I talk about it a lot, and especially now it's to the forefront at the moment when you're appointing managers and stuff like that, especially to the likes of Liverpool or to Everton. It's really, really important that those managers or those people coming in, coaches or whatever, understand the fabric and the culture of the city and stuff like that, and the history and the lineage and all that kind of stuff. The history is so important and stuff like that, because taking the job at Liverpool or taking the job at Everton, it's so much more than a football job. You have you've half a city on your back. Absolutely. That you have to carry as well, and it's absolutely huge. And I say it all the time, and that's why you'll see even when we went over to the match that time, I always make a point of going to the Hillsborough Memorial. I always make a point of going down the Champions Wall and around all the statues and around the different gates and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, it was really, really important that Ben understood that as a Liverpool fan as well. I didn't ask Ben to be a Liverpool fan. Ben wanted to be a Liverpool fan. I would never do anything like that. Find your own path and how you feel and how you love about things. But when he decided he wanted to be a Liverpool fan,
this house, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, that for me, that's the way it is. But when he decided he wanted to be a Liverpool fan way back when, I made it very clear that he understood everything about it going way back and how important all these things are. And even to the point where one of our first times over in Liverpool was when we lost the Madrid final, the first one in Kiev. And I said to him, Ben, there'll be good times after this. Don't worry about it. Good times roll around as well. And they're so much more satisfying when you have to go through some of these tough times. He was devastated,
Absolutely.
And, so that's it. So we'll move on from it. It's a poor loss. It's another horrible moment in the season as part of Klopp's kind of send off. It's the first one he lost at Goodison as well. He had 2 wins and 5 draws till that point as well.
Yeah, like I heard Pickford last night after the game saying it's the first game I've won at Goodison. You were like, Jesus, know.
Yeah.
So it does. The record was okay there,
Yeah, funny enough, actually, the last time they won, it was in the studio. Leon Osman was in there. He was on the last team that actually won a Merseyside derby at Goodison. So that'll tell you, so yeah, absolutely crazy. But look, we'll move on from it anyway. So, your own team kind of struggled at first, but then came out of sight, just found a bit of a rhythm. And Bruno with an absolute worldie, and Maguire showing up again. He's been kind of pretty consistent this season, I would say.
I think, Maguire has done nothing but help his case for, say, next season, be that at Old Trafford or elsewhere. Because I think there's a lot of teams around the league where, Maguire's stock would have been extremely low. And I think now with him getting game time through injury and stuff, I think there's a lot of guys who look now and go, Harry Maguire, I take him. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of clubs would say, yeah, I'll have him, and he'll do a damn fine job for us. You can only admire the guy, because he has been through very, very tough times at United, and he hasn't been backed necessarily by the fans, or the management at times. But he just keeps getting up off the canvas. He does, and there's something extremely endearing about that. When you can just keep getting up every time, it really shows, what kind of person you are off the pitch. And I think that's, again, brings back to, you need to know a certain amount and remember where you came from and things like that. And Harry Maguire is probably he's not too far removed from having to get up off the canvas. Like he's a kid from Yorkshire. There probably wasn't a lot of stuff going on when, where he was at home and stuff like that. It was probably very, very humble beginnings, I'd imagine, from him. So he just he just knuckles down and tries to work his way out of a hole. And there's a lot of footballers in that league who could take a massive leaf out of his book for my money. And guys that he's sharing a pitch with, by the way, as well. Not just throwing shade at anyone else there.
Absolutely. Joanne, are you going to the cup final?
Not sure yet. We wait and see.
Okay. Keep it under wraps for the moment.
Well, listen, I would love to, but there's a few things have to happen first, so we'll see.
Yeah, Jordan Pickford was playing like prime Buffon last night. Can't lie. In fairness, Romy Munkanobi, we didn't do ourselves any favours. We just kept on dropping balls into his hands, to be honest.
And what I would also say is anyone that's watched Jordan Pickford this season, he's been right at it all season long. And it's like the more guys that start coming out of the pack, your Nick Popes, your Sam Johnson, your Dean Henderson, your Aaron Ramsdale, the more guys come out of the pack, the more Pickford rises to the challenge and goes, it's mine, you're not fucking getting it. And again, I don't love him as a character, but I'm definitely an admirer of his. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he makes the absolute best out of what he has, raw materials wise. I think he does well.
Yeah, well, I think, generally as an Everton goalkeeper as well, like, you're going to be called on quite a bit at times.
Yeah.
And, so you're going to be able to present how good you are and have that opportunity to present yourself. But I'm sure Jordan also knows as well that goalkeeping situation at England, it's quite tight. It's not aloof, you know what I mean?
No.
Those guys, you take him and you take Nick Pope in his prime and stuff like that. Flip for coin.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, John Henry probably thinks Everton is a type of cheese.
Might be a big cheese.
Dice 316 gave Klopp a whipping and stunner.
A triple A whipping.
Absolutely. And do you know what I liked last night? There was a moment at the end of the game where they both came together. And it was, I think Klopp was kind of thanking him as well. Not for the match, obviously, and stuff like that. But I think he's taking these moments at the moment in these games to thank these managers, because he's been on quite a journey. And I mentioned it in the preview. He has had quite a fractious relationship with Sean Dyche on many levels and stuff like that. So it was nice to see them coming together. And it was
listen. I think, me personally, I think Klopp and I think a lot of the managers in the league respect their opposition and stuff like that. But I do think in the heat of battle, you still want to win and you still want the right result and you still want the referee to do the right thing. And I think that gets in the way at times. But I think, to do a job like that, you would have no more respect for another guy who does a job like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, he talks about it. He talks about it all the time when he plays these teams. Romy Munkanobi, can John Henry attend more Liverpool games? I'm sick of saying that Mr. Mackey South Park looking like when I watched the MLB. Absolutely. Tony Bellew giving a large in the stand last night. Absolutely.
I like Tony Bellew, got to be honest.
Niall, I see you have Pat McAfee on the show tonight. Where is Dazzler? It's not really like him to miss a Thursday Dear Talk podcast. There we go. You go from the short-haired AJ Styles to the Pat McAfee. That Aces dude is about the same size as Selena Vega. Man United is hopping about like Mick Foley right now. Don't know. Listen, Arteta scored winning goal in Merseyside Derby in 2010. Don't remind me. Right, let's get into this week's. West Ham versus Liverpool, 12:30 kick-off down in London.
Yeah. So I fully expect you guys to get back on the horse. Now, I know Virgil was a bit scathing in his comments after the game, but I think when you play, when you've a game like you guys had the other night, I think you want the game as soon as possible. And I think Saturday morning won't come quick enough for some of those lads, I would imagine. I'm going to go very, very similar result to your Fulham game, which was 3-1. So I'm going to go 3-1 again, Liverpool.
Okay, interesting. Fulham versus Crystal Palace?
Yeah, like Fulham had kind of been in good form until, you guys rolled into town. But I think the last people you want to roll into town right now is Crystal Palace. With their wins on the bounce and a couple of clean sheets, and they're scoring goals and they're creating chances and they're moving the ball, and I think they'll be Fulham. I think we'll go 2-1 Palace.
Man United, Burnley.
Yeah, something pretty similar to the Sheffield United game. I think Burnley play better football than Sheffield United, but they're a little more blunt at times. And I think we'll open them up a little bit at the back and create chances and that. And yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 United.
3-1 United.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle, Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think Newcastle will be looking at this game as an opportunity to kind of get back on it after defeat and stuff like that to Palace. And obviously Sheffield United, this is a big game for them because I think defeat at the weekend will relegate them. I think if I'm looking to stay in the league, one of the last places I want to go to is St James's Park. I think Newcastle will do enough to get over the line there. I got to be honest. Yeah, you've heard it again. I'm going to go 3-1 Newcastle.
3-1.
Yeah.
Wolves versus Luton.
Yeah, this is probably the one game I'm least looking forward to. I just think they're both out of form. They're both out of sorts. They're both out of luck. I think it could be a 0-0, but I think Wolves might nick it. So I'll go 1-0 Wolves.
1-0 Wolves. Everton versus Brentford.
Yeah, I think Everton could do a very similar job on Saturday to what they did on Wednesday night, and I think Everton will have enough here to get over the line again. I think maybe Brentford might take a chance, but I think I'll go 2-1 Everton.
2-1 Everton. Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Could this be another potential beatdown? What do you think?
I don't think it'll be a beatdown. No, I don't think it'll be a beatdown. I think obviously Chelsea, one of Chelsea's best results this season was going away and knocking Villa out of the cup here for the Park 3-0. It was a huge result for them and kind of got stuff moving a little bit for them. I think, a lot will depend on the availability of Cole Palmer. I think at the minute he's kind of 50-50 because I think he'd like him to be able to train either today. I don't think he's training today, and I think he'd like him to be able to maybe train tomorrow if he was going to get him out at the weekend. Villa are on a good run of form at the minute. Hard to back against them at home. So I'm just going to go 2-1 Villa, just to nick it.
How big a loss in your mind? How big a loss will Enzo Fernandez be?
Yeah, I think it'd be a big loss. I think he's had a tough season, but I don't necessarily think he's been poor. I think he's been one of the players at Chelsea that I would look at and say, okay, if I can get guys around him to do a little bit more, he can shine a little bit more, And I think he's taken the taken the leadership role in there at Chelsea quite well as well. Again for quite a young guy. You have to remember he was only at Benfica 6 months before he moved to Chelsea. So he was only in Europe really. I think he's going to get better and better, this kid. I really do. I think he's got it all in the locker. I think he can pass. He's got a good engine. I think he can finish. And I think when everything settles down around him, I think he'll be a top player. I got to be honest.
Yeah, as I said on other podcasts, it's very difficult to judge some of these Chelsea players based on this season and stuff like that, because it's just we said at the start of the season that they were building for a project that's 2 or 3 years down the line and stuff like that. I'm not too sure whether they pushed it a bit too far on the youth side. I'm not too sure. And I think for a lot of those players in there as well, the message coming out week on week has been a little bit confusing because it has changed dramatically week on week.
Yeah.
Trying to juggle injuries and all the other stick and
we can't play down
as well.
We can't play down the amount of injuries they've had. We can't.
No, absolutely.
When you look at the squad and how the squad was made up, and we knew that there was an imbalance to the squad, and that it wasn't necessarily ready for a run at the title or a run at Europe or a run at whatever. right? And then you deplete it to the point where it has been depleted. I don't think Pochettino's done that bad a job. I know there's isolated instances, obviously, getting absolutely thumped by Arsenal and stuff like that, where people go, Jesus, that wasn't a good result. But I think there have been some good results, and there have been some good performances at times. And when they didn't get results, for me, they absolutely deserve to get through that semi-final last weekend. I personally, I believe that.
They definitely created enough. They just didn't take their chances, and that's kind of been the story of their season, really, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, here's the thing: if you look at that, would I be more worried if they weren't creating the chances, or if they weren't taking them? Well, I'd be way more worried if they weren't creating them, because if I can put somebody in that position, or a couple of players in those positions to go and get me goals, well, all of a sudden that elevates me to another level, because the play isn't that bad, and a lot of what goes on around there isn't, miles out of sync from what you'd want from a good team high up in that league,
Yeah, certainly at times this season they've stepped up against what we would call, top 4, top 5, top 6 teams and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And they put a good showing in essentially against Man City as well. And also at times, the first game of the season against us, the draw, I think it was. They
I thought they were very good that day. That was at Anfield, right?
Yeah. No, it was at the Bridge. No, we were away at the Bridge. We bet them 4-1 at Anfield.
Okay.
But certainly they put in some.
My bet up that night.
That's
I got
right.
a big bet, two big bets up that night. Remember?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come back to that in a second. Yeah, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how Chelsea evolves over the summer and stuff like that. What they decide on a managerial side of things. Are they going to change? Are they going to stick? Is the market available? Is there people out there they would want to bring in? Or who knows what's going to happen? The manager market at the moment is just crazy. Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Chelsea aren't getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino.
You're convinced he's staying?
Convinced.
Interesting.
Personally, I don't even think there's a question to answer. I really don't. I really, really don't. I think let's help him with the squad. Let's give him some of maybe what he wants rather than what us outside of it want, from a Bowley point of view. And let's help him get players back on the pitch and fit and playing. And as I said to you, I think there's a lot of plus points in that squad.
Yeah, if they can
fix them, but
yeah, I mean, if they can sort out some of the structures in the background and stuff like that, and if they can get to the bottom of, the injury situation, is it something inherent there, or is it something that's just happening, or whatever it is? They seem to have collected so many injuries at the moment. Is it a training thing? Is it a recovery thing? Whatever it is. And we shall see, but certainly it's going to be interesting, and especially we're going to keep an eye on Chelsea as well, because we know there's a lot of financial stuff there in the background floating around. We don't know the ins and outs of it, but the conversations are out there every week, so there must be something there. So let's see what happens. There's only so many hotels you can sell to yourself and retain the revenue. So
absolutely.
So we'll park Chelsea there at the moment. Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Yeah, I think this will be Bournemouth. I think they've had a really good season under Iraola. I think Brighton have been one of the Jekyll and Hyde teams in the league this season. I think some of their play has been quite good at times. The results haven't been there. I think the squad has been depleted, obviously through the sales that were made last summer. I don't think the recruitment was good enough this time round, and I also think the injury front, they've really, really been struggling, and I think that has made for a very, very difficult year for Roberto De Zerbi, So, I think this is Bournemouth on it, and I'm going to go Bournemouth 2-1.
Big up, Andrew. Good seeing you there. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Spurs versus Arsenal, which is probably going to be the biggest game of the weekend in terms of eyes on it and stuff like that. Well, obviously us versus West Ham initially, but
yes,
obviously Spurs versus Arsenal, North London derby. The new White Hart Lane. Spurs. Udogie is out. He's gone for the rest of the season.
He's
going to be a big loss. He's been very, very good for them.
He has been. Yeah, that's right. I realised earlier he was gone because when I was doing my beat the bookie, he wasn't available for a booking. So he has been excellent. He really has. as has Pedro Porro, as have certain other players in the team, and I think this is a huge game for both teams. I know Arsenal are obviously in a title race, so to speak, but I think with Spurs being in a race for the Champions League and with things kind of dropping off ever so slightly for Ange over the last few weeks, I think he'll be really, really gunning, pardon the pun, to get a result here on Sunday.
Yeah, I think first of all, I mean, obviously it's North London derby, so that that's kind of
That's
it's
job
kind of
done
a
straight away,
leveler
isn't
like
it?
ourselves with Everton and stuff like that and all. But I think the real issue in terms of I think Champions League for them now is going to be quite a stretch because not only have they to play Arsenal, they have to play us at Anfield and they've also to play City. So it's going to be really, really tough to peel back Aston Villa at this stage. I would think with those
Yeah,
kind of games on the horizon. Who's to say though? But yeah, no, it's going to be it's a game I really can't wait to watch. Now I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to see how this title race, how it goes and stuff like that. I felt the pain of it enough over the last number of years, close calls and everything else, and last day torture and everything else. I hope as a fan it goes to the last day.
Absolutely. We
Because
want to see that in the league.
the last day in the league is always brilliant like that. And look,
100%.
whatever way it goes. Romy
Yeah.
One Kenobi's in. This is one for you, Darren. Remember Ben Jacobs said Potter didn't have months, he had years, then boom, sacked. Bowley will get rid of Poch. It's inevitable, according to Romy One Kenobi. Now, we would have views on Ben Jacobs on this podcast.
We absolutely would have views on Ben Jacobs, which I've made known in the past. So there, Jack.
Jack is back. Jack is
Jack
back.
Jack is back. Yeah, I won't talk about Ben Jacobs. It's easier. I'm trying to keep the blood pressure down at the minute, so I'll just keep at it.
Absolutely. I'm returning back to YouTube and grinding my vids out again. Good man. That's what I want
Good
to
man.
hear.
Stay away from Grinder, pal. It's not good for you.
Andrew. Yeah. Don't be grinding too much. Ask Will Ospreay. Spurs I wouldn't watch them if they were playing in my driveway.
Really?
Interesting. Even Ornstein said it as well. That's about
Would you
Potter.
what would you not watch about Spurs? Just I'm interested because I'm actually a fan of watching Spurs, if I'm honest. Sorry, I haven't given you a score for Sunday either. I'm going 2-2. I think Spurs will get something out of it. I really do it, but I think it'll be a hectic North London derby as they tend to be.
What's going on here? You and Acers agreeing on a result?
Had to happen once, didn't it?
Surely it's definitely not going to happen then, is it?
Well, we shall see.
Let's see. And then we rounded out Forest versus Man City.
Yes, City, but Forest I think will be pluckier than Brighton were tonight. And I'm going to go 3-1 City.
Yeah, I think so. Jackson, do you think we are still in the title race, Niall? Me and my dad don't, and we need to sell Salah and get Kudus and Watkins in the summer. I don't think we are still in the title race. Obviously, mathematically we are, but I don't think we're in the title race. And Jurgen Klopp summed it up perfectly after the game last night. He said, championship sides don't play the way we played tonight. And that was a great way to summarise it.
Quite apt, really, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And 100%.
And it was nice to hear it, to be honest. It was nice to hear it for a change.
Absolutely.
In terms of selling Salah, I think that's inevitable. I don't think we can roll him into the last year. I don't think he has an appetite to resign either. He looks absolutely wasted.
He looks like he's already sitting in one of them little huts smoking the shisha pipe.
Yeah, and I did say that I reckon that some sort of an agreement might have been reached last summer for this summer and give us one more year, and maybe that's what happened. I'm not too sure. So let's see what happens. But no doubt, I think he will exit the building. Darren, what do you think? Kudus and Watkins? Is that where you would be spending the Salah money?
Would they improve you?
Well, based on between now and back to Christmas, absolutely.
I think they'd both be good signings.
Yeah,
I think Watkins is going to cost you a wedge to get out of Villa. You're going to have to
yeah,
wedge him out the door. I think the only thing that kind of lends itself to it, the fee being a little bit more moderate, is the fact that he's a little older than we imagine. He's done it for a little bit longer, and I think the boy Kudos has been one of the finds of the season. I think he's been excellent at West Ham, a shining light, and I think again in the right team with the right players around him, he could be a real star in this league.
yeah. He was hitting the straps, wasn't he? And then injury interrupted it, didn't it?
Yeah,
He was.
AFCON and then injury.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we will see, but it's going to be very interesting. I seen a report today based on Michael Edwards that apparently he's targeting Alexander Isak. So interesting to see. And if I've seen links like that, and if there's any truth to it and stuff like that, I assume Salah is definitely exiting the building. But that's it. Dazzler get threads. Dazzler get threads.
Oh God. I can only but laugh at that with what's been said at times in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Would you be a fan of Alexander Isak?
Look,
be careful how you answer this.
Listen, I'm not making.
I have evidence.
I'm pleading the fifth at the moment. Listen, at one stage last week we were getting linked with Ange Postecoglou as well, and then all my nightmares could have come true.
Here's what I will say: whether you're a fan or not, whatever the case may be, I think he's absolutely unbelievable. I think the only small asterisk beside Alexander Isak is his injury record. Other than that, he has scored goals. He has created goals and assists. He has caused havoc at times and looked unplayable. His hold-up play has been good. He's run the channels well. I think he's an absolute gem. But I would want to know, A, what it's going to cost me to get him out of Newcastle, and B, what that injury record is like. I'd be digging a little bit deeper, you know.
Robin Van Persie will be part of new Liverpool backroom team next season.
Well, he may be if he doesn't get the Feyenoord job.
You get Kudus, then Perez cashes in the money in the bank briefcase for Trent to reignite his bromance with Jude. God, it's just my fear at the moment of our backline drop off potentially and exits, and my fear of our front line drop off and potential exits. I used to think we had problems in midfield. What a difference a day makes. Won't be surprised if Kudus was Salah's replacement, as don't forget we were heavily linked to him at his Ajax days. Maybe. Niall, you don't need Isak. You have the team who Steven Seagal up front. Do you know what? These guys today tortured me on WhatsApp. They sent me so much Darwin Núñez stuff. And especially this man beside me in the sea here, who claims he likes Darwin Núñez.
I'm a Darwin Núñez fan, you know that.
Sent me awful stuff today. Awful stuff.
I have gone on record and said I'm a Darwin Núñez fan, you know that. I think Captain Chaos does a certain job, and I think he brings a certain amount to the pitch. Now, I think he needs to bring a little more finishing to the pitch, but I think if he added goals to his all-round game, to the hustle, to the bustle, to the energy, to the running the channels, to the, physicality that he brings, like if he brought goals, if he scored 25 goals this season, he's probably player of the year.
Look, I just want to say this. I have to get this off my chest. I went onto Instagram yesterday and he posts up a video. New haircut for the Derby match.
It's this day and age, isn't it though?
I can't be dealing with that.
I know, and listen, I've been here. I'm
looking him on the pitch when he misses gilt-edged chances. His body positioning for receiving the ball every time is like a giraffe at a roller skate rink. Okay, and I just look at him when he misses, and there's a blackness through his eyes that I can see right to the back of his skull, which means obviously part of the brain is missing.
Do you know what you
And I
need to be
don't know.
careful of? Do you know what you need to be careful of? I'm gonna make a really huge deal of this, because Arsenal need a striker, right? Don't be surprised if we hear Mikel Arteta is a fan of Darwin Núñez. And don't be surprised if he ended up at Arsenal, that he ended up a player. Because if you watched any of that documentary, that Arsenal documentary, that behind the scenes gig, the details that they went into for the most basic things on, how to beat a player, what touch, what side of the foot to take the ball on, and how to move it. They're very, very technical at Arsenal, and they're slowing the game down to get guys into a situation where it becomes automatic for them. I still think this kid can be a serious footballer. I really do. I can look back and I can look at the days. And again, I need to be careful here. Sorry, the battery's telling me things. I need to be careful here because I don't like mentioning people's names or other people's names. But if we look back way to when, say, let's say, a Ronaldo came in at United, for the first 2 to 3 seasons, he was doused in petrol. He's a one-trick pony. He's a self-indulgent little prick. He's this, he's that. He's a brand new hat. And very quickly, he quietened a lot of people down. I think Núñez has that level of ability. I don't think you've tapped into it yet for whatever reason. But as you say, there's quite a few guys around there that you would look and say, not at the level where he could be, not at the level where he could be. So maybe when Klopp knew he was exiting the building, some of this stuff fell off a little bit, Maybe there wasn't the attention to detail for those small things, and that's it. I don't know that. I'm just throwing it out there.
I just look. I'm willing to give any player a chance. It's the nature of us as Liverpool fans, but I just think, I don't know. I'm not too sure. We shall see.
Are you willing to give me a chance to do my beat the bookie before my battery goes?
I am. You better go on. You do your beat the bookies then.
So, somebody didn't get the iPad on charge early enough earlier. Just saying. I was in work. Not throwing any shade around. It's a bit of shade being thrown at me, I can tell you. I'll tell you what I've gone.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I've gone for. We'll start off with the lowest price. And it's funny, we've just talked about one of these guys. Actually, we've talked about quite a few of them. To score or assist, yeah? It'll only get you 15 to 1, but they only need to score or assist, yeah?
Yep.
Jean-Philippe Mateta, Palace away at Fulham, goal or assist. Rasmus Højlund at home for Man United against Burnley, goal or assist. Alexander Isak at home against Sheffield United, goal or assist. And Bukayo Saka versus Spurs, goal or assist. I think it'll be a penalty, and that'll pay you 15 to 1.
Okay.
That could be the one to cover yourself at the weekend. We like one of them. Next, I have gone for an accumulator of results and both to score, because they were all quite poor prices. And with them being bad prices, I had to do a couple of extra to try and bump the price a little bit. So I have gone for Liverpool and both to score. I have gone for Man United and both score against Burnley. I've gone for Newcastle and both score at home against Sheffield United. And I've gone for Manchester City and both to score against Nottingham Forest. And that comes in at 32 to 1.
Very nice.
And then I've a third. I did one more for you.
Jeez, we're spoiled here.
I'm telling you. My last one is my new favourite bet. So it's to be shown a card.
Yeah.
Pick 3 teams who I think will have difficult days the weekend. I think Nottingham Forest will have a tough time at the weekend. And they have a boy that plays at centre back called Murillo, and he loves a yellow card. Absolutely loves it. There's a boy, I think Burnley will have a tough game. I think Burnley will have a tough game at the weekend at Old Trafford. I think their right back, Lorenz Assignon, who will come up against Alejandro Garnacho, will have a tough day at the office because I thought Garnacho was excellent last night. Did everything but score. And again, this lad loves a card, has been red carded already this season, likes a challenge. If the game gets a bit quick, he'll throw his foot in and he'll get a card. And then my third one is in the North London Derby. We know it's got to be a firecracker. And again, another guy who likes a card. And that's Spurs Yves Bissouma. So we're going Murillo, Assignon, and Bissouma. And as a treble, they pay 40-1. The other thing I will say is if you back them on Paddy Power, they have a super sub where if your player is brought off and replaced, whoever takes his spot, the bet rolls to them. And it can work in your favour sometimes. Somebody comes on, maybe they're a bit cold, it's a fast-paced game, stick their foot in, and all of a sudden, they get the card.
Yeah, Christian Romero guaranteed a yellow.
He was the favourite for it. He was the favourite.
Absolutely.
But I think sometimes it's not necessarily the obvious, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I'll give you mine then. Result on both the score. Oh, sorry, no, the first one I did was a straight up treble, which I don't normally do. And it's worth 42-1.
Okay, so who did you do alongside Crystal Palace?
Aston Villa.
Right.
Against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed at 5 o'clock this morning doing these bets.
Oh, no.
I went West Ham.
Oh, no.
I did. Because I can see this going out on a whimper.
So you're going West Ham, Aston Villa and Crystal Palace?
42-1. Straight treble. West Ham are 9-2 to win.
Two of those are what I would describe as a good bet. Palace and Villa are good bets now.
Palace is 5-2. Aston Villa 6-5.
Palace is 5-2.
To beat Fulham, yeah, because it's at the Cottage, so you kind of expect 5-2, wouldn't you?
2.5-1 in a 2-half race.
Yeah. West Ham are 9-2.
Hang on a minute. Football. Really? 5-2? That sounds like a very, very big price.
That's your clash money there, isn't it?
So with Paddy Power, they're not 5-2, but they're not far off it.
Yeah.
They are 23-10. 23-10. What price you have West Ham at?
9-2.
Yeah, same at Powers. And your third one was Villa. What price are they?
Yeah, 6-5.
6-5, 23-20 here. So very, very similar.
Margin. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a 42-1 treble. Straight up. No fancy around.
42-1 treble. Wow. Jesus, huh? It's getting better by the minute.
Has to be worth a bit of that clash. So then, in thinking with that, then I dropped a 95-1 goal scorer bet. Pick 4 goal scorers. I think you'll only be surprised at one, but I went for West Ham versus Liverpool.
Well, if you went West Ham versus Liverpool and you backed West Ham, you did Jared Bowen.
Correct. And then I did Fulham versus Palace, and you know who I picked. And Darren is gone. I did Mateta. And then I did Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa versus Chelsea. And a surprising one, maybe surprising, but he was on fire the other night for Arsenal. Martin Odegaard to score against Tottenham. That's your 4 goal scorers there. It gives you 95-1. It's a great little bet. And then my final one I'll give you, and then we'll talk about a few things, get back into the chat, was result and both the score. And this is 325-1. So I went for West Ham to win and both the score against Liverpool. Palace to win and both to score against Fulham. I did Man United to win and both to score against Burnley, and Aston Villa to win and both to score against Chelsea. And that pays you 325 to 1. So anyone that has money on that, if it comes in, I want you to send me some Clash of the Castle money. West Ham win, Niall will develop a Cockney accent. I tell you, the drop off is going to be unbelievable. I rarely ever back against my team. I'm going to do a preview tomorrow probably for the West Ham game, but I just can't see it. I think to be able to raise those guys from where they are when Van Dijk is coming out calling players to look in the mirror and all, you know that it's not a good energy or environment in there. And I think if you show up like that against West Ham down in London, you're going to have a problem. And the 12:30 kickoff, where we've been doing okay in them, we have fallen down in them a number of times as well. Acers, breaking news, Garda Public Order Unit have made 3 arrests now in Newtown, Mount Kennedy. I've seen it all over TikTok. Jack, Dazzler bleeds claret and blue. Palace, Wolves, Brentford and Chelsea 58 to 1. You're going for Chelsea to beat Aston Villa, Ted, yeah? Palace, yeah. Wolves, Brentford and Chelsea 58 to 1. Interesting. Right, let's get into some of the other stuff. Record amount of goals scored this season in the Premier League in a 38 match season. 1,085 goals, and still roughly nearly the guts of a month, 3 weeks, month ago. So it's going to be a massive total this season. Give me your thoughts, folks, in the chat on the Champions League. How do you see this going next week? Bayern versus Real and Dortmund versus PSG. Especially this is in here for you, Romy One Kenobi. You're in there, Real Madrid, obviously. So, what are you expecting? Let me know your thoughts on that as well. It's going to be very, very interesting. I don't need to talk about Ed's next bet as well. 24.5 to 1. SA Bruno Chan anytime. Interesting. Morris is going for a Real PSG final. I think that's generally the consensus. Be mad if we got an all-German final, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be crazy if we ended up Dortmund versus Bayern Munich? Crazy. Don't see it, but how many tickets did you get for Clash of the Castle? I'm in the process of getting tickets. I haven't got them yet, but I will have them sorted probably by tomorrow. Accommodation and all is done, and Darren has booked the ferry and all that, so we'll be doing a road trip, so no doubt we'll make a few vids as well. But 4 of us going this time, and I think Ted was going to go, but I'm not sure if he's still going now. I'm thinking PSG and Bayern to the final. PSG and Bayern? You're taking Bayern over Real? It'll be the Kylian Mbappe derby, won't it? Yeah. Do you know, it's just mad, isn't it, Kenny? Big up, Kenny. Good see you, man. Won't it be mad? Wouldn't it be mad if you had PSG versus Real Madrid and Mbappe scores the winner, and then a week later he's announced at Real Madrid? That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Bayern, they fear me a bit. Can't lie. Minerals Tuchel could strike out of nowhere like an RKO. I don't know. What did you make actually? What did you make of your boy being subbed the other night? Vinny Jr. and not being too happy. Him and Ancelotti having the death stare. What did you make of that, Romy One Kenobi? Obviously it worked out, but interesting. Real Madrid already have 15 Champions League titles wrapped up. Ace is all in on Real Madrid. Mbappe scores the winner. He owes us a treble next season to make up for it. Listen, the treble would be easy if you end up with Mbappe, and I think what's the other one? Alphonso Davies they're talking about as well, aren't they? And then probably there's whispers of Trent, but we shall see. Jude Bellingham upstaging Mbappe at Wembley, and Mbappe outstaging England in the Euros final. He says, "You're really going in. You're really going in, aren't we?" I said I would talk with Darren. Obviously, he ran out of battery there, but I said I would talk with Darren about this managerial situation. There's been a lot of to and fro, a lot of BS, a lot of this, that, and the other, and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of shade thrown at the Dutch league, a lot of shade thrown at this man's achievements, and all that kind of stuff. It looks like he's going to be the guy. And if he ends up being the guy, then I will fully back him and get behind him as a Liverpool fan. He'll be my manager. But I don't really know a whole lot about him. I don't really know a whole lot. He seems kind of a character. I don't really know a whole lot about him, only that he's won a Dutch league and a Dutch cup. So I don't know. So if any of you guys in the chat have a better appreciation of the Dutch league and Dutch football, I don't really watch it. Any Dutch football I see is what I see in the Champions League. I just ain't got the time. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it was going to be tough. Trying to find a successor to Klopp. If it wasn't going to be Pep Linders or someone from within the coaching side who's been around it and stuff like that, it was going to be interesting and difficult. So let's see what happens. It looks like it's getting very close to him being announced at this stage. And if he is announced, then we're off and running again, aren't we, basically, and we'll see what happens. I think everything is fine, just Vinny being Vinny, yeah, absolutely. I love as well. I love the way Carlo deals with it as well, doesn't he? He's like one of the Gambinos up at the top of the table, just staring, and he just stares. Doesn't even say anything, just stares. Killer stare. Arnie reminds me of Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. That's why I chose that picture for that reason. I knew you'd come in with it. Durcoit return in Liverpool backroom staff with Robin van Persie. That would be interesting. Be interesting to see how the Liverpool fan base reacts to Robin van Persie. Quite, I'm sure they'll be fine. But Robin van Persie, he's a bald fraud like Ten Hag. We can't even say that anymore now. Sure, we can't. We can't turn around and call these managers bald frauds anymore around now because we have our own bald one. Anfield Agenda as our new manager. Go easy. Easy there, Tiger. Easy. God, he was on a meltdown last night, Craig, wasn't he? Good Lord. The blood pressure was through the roof. Can only see this guy being a transitional appointment. Usually any manager comes in to replace a huge name at a huge club. It's almost like a poison chalice. Yeah, and especially at a time like, if he does come in and then kind of like Salah exits the building, Diaz goes to Barcelona, Nunez may or may not be happy. Jota's great, but he can't stay fit. Bo, there's still kind of indecision. Jury's still out on him in terms of, where should he play and how does it all fit in? Midfield, questions over that as well. At the back, what happens with Robbo and Costas? That Konate Kwanzaa conundrum. Does Trent decide to exit the building? Who knows? Let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think so as well. That just the manager market at the moment, and so many teams are going to be looking for managers, and it's just, you know what I mean. It's going to be a settling period. Mr. Bam Bam Bigelow, there you go. You should get the tattoo on the skull. Be cool. I think he'll come in and do a year or two and be let go with somebody more experienced coming in. Yeah, maybe bring him in and use him to kind of do that kind of, I won't say donkey work, but that kind of work that needs to be done, that necessarily an Alonso or, one of the higher elite managers kind of doesn't really want to do. And I think the one thing that came out today when they were talking about it is they were talking about Amram being a manager. So he wanted a lot more say in relation to the player situation. And Edwards and Richard Hughes weren't willing to give that. I know a lot of people were losing their mind over the financials and all that kind of stuff and trying to play the financial card with West Ham and all that. But listen, you don't get away with that in football these days. It's too clever and it's too out there. I think with Slot coming in, I think the thinking is he's more of a coach and he wants to coach what he has. but also still have somewhat of an input in what's coming in and in the direction and how they want to play and stuff like that. So who knows? That might work. I mean, obviously Edwards coming back in and Richard Hughes and all. They're not coming back in there to sit on the sidelines the way it happened before with Klopp and how it all kind of broke down and dissolved. I think they're going to be very instrumental in who comes through the door and who goes out the door as well. And there's lots of plans being laid there at the moment. And I think Arnie's job will really be to come in and coach these players in the veil of what we want to do. So let's see. It's going to be interesting. Sorry, I missed Ted there, did I? Oh, yeah, no, I got Ted. Romy, Liverpool, Man City, and Man United with a ball in the dugout. This is what football does to these guys. Pressure. Liverpool, Mitchell Brothers managers. Absolutely. Well, listen, that might not be a bad thing because obviously some of these players need a proper kick up the backside and not a hug. So that's not a bad thing if he comes in and he's like one of the Mitchell brothers. We can live with that. Heard Stephen Kenny is on the shortlist. Give over, you, will you? Give over. I'm upset enough. Don't upset me anymore. Will the Liverpool players rub Arnie's bald head before the game for good luck? Good Lord, I hope not. To be your best signings didn't come from Klopp. It came from the backroom boys. It did, and the problem is when Edwards exited the building and Klopp got more power and Julian Ward was installed in there, that's when it kind of all came unstuck. We've seen reports coming out today that it was Klopp who wanted Darwin Núñez, but actually the recommendation from the backroom staff was Nkunku. But again, I don't know. Nkunku came into Chelsea and he's had injuries and all that kind of stuff. So if that had happened with us, who knows what would have happened. The ball Connor Salmon up top with Núñez. Edwards like John Gotti with this power now. Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be very interesting as well, isn't it? Because even if we think this is going to run for 2 years, what are they going to do then? Like if they want to bring in some sort of an elite manager, is he going to come in without Edwards having that amount of power and Richard Hughes having that amount of power? Because a lot of elite managers really do want to use saying who comes in. You've seen it, and it's come unhinged at United with Ten Hag and stuff like that in terms of the signings and stuff like that. So is this the way to go, and do managers look like that, or are we now seeing an evolution of just teams bringing in coaches rather than managers, where the backroom staff kind of manage the team and the coach coaches the team and obviously does player selection, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how it goes. Jesus, did Dadler lose the charger and everything? There is no charger. Once he goes, he's gone. He's checked out. That's it. He's probably listening in or whatever. Do you think we will get Alonso when Don Carlo steps down? I really hope so. I would think, looking from the outside in, I would think that that's the plan. I think Alonso wants to go to Real Madrid. I don't think he probably wanted to go to Bayern. But it'll be interesting to see. It depends if this comes unhinged as well. I was talking to Darren about this the other day. What happens if Leverkusen next season have a massive drop off? What happens if they sell some of those players and stuff like that, leave the building? What happens if Granit Xhaka doesn't have another season like he had or whatever it is, and there's a drop off, and then questions come about Alonso, This is the year he's won the Bundesliga, he could potentially win a treble, and on top of that, the invincible stuff and all that kind of stuff. But that's a very high bar to be setting, to go in there in a second year then and try and do that again. No doubt Bayern are going to bounce back. That's what they do. And as much as, everyone's looking at Alonso at the moment and like he looks really good and stuff like that, and his coaching and all that kind of stuff, and the whole Leverkusen thing, it's a real romantic story and all that kind of stuff. But if he loses players, and then he's trying to juggle it and bring players in, or maybe bring a sprinkling of youth and stuff like that. If this comes unhinged, imagine a situation in the Bundesliga next season where Leverkusen start out the season with 3 draws and 2 losses, and they're already maybe 8-9 points behind, say, Bayern Munich. That becomes a very different conversation and a very different situation then. I think if he has a similar season, not necessarily maybe winning stuff, but if Bayern Munich end up winning the league next year and he pushes them really, really close and has a good showing in the Champions League and maybe picks up a domestic cup, maybe that's a different conversation and stuff like that. But I would think at the moment, the plan is exit the building after next season and go to Real Madrid if Carlos steps out. Frimpong, when he leaves Leverkusen, Celtic get 10 million in sell-on clause. Absolutely clever business, and that's the way they should do it. Now, these changes to the MLS. What do we think of these changes? I'll just go full screen on it to read it. So the MLS will implement its new initiatives this weekend. Injured players who are down for 15 seconds must leave the field and remain off the field for 2 minutes. Subbed players have 10 seconds to leave. Otherwise, new player must wait 60 seconds to enter. And you're going to get in-stadium VAR announcements. Let us know your thoughts on that, chat. How do you feel about these new initiatives coming into the MLS? I wouldn't be surprised if we have a punt on Frimpong. Yeah, absolutely. I think there'll be a number of teams in from. I think he's been linked. He's been heavily linked for 2 seasons, I think, now with Man United. I haven't seen us linked with him at all. What's the one you like, Ted? I like one out of the 3 of those initiatives. Probably it's the VAR announcement, is it? Stadium VAR announcement. It just gets a little bit technical in terms of managing it and the timing of it and all, isn't it? It feels a little bit very Americanized, doesn't it? In terms of everything is down to timing and all that kind of stuff and all. I'm not against it because on some of these cases there's a lot of dicking around and stuff like that. But I think the stadium VAR announcements would be really, really cool and something that they should look at. I like them new rules. Keeps the game flowing. Yeah, and it also lets players know that there's no dicking about. If there's dicking about, there's a consequence to that. So you might get less players sitting down injured in that certain way. They might be quicker to jump up and get going. Yeah, good shout. If Bayer Leverkusen gets eliminated by AS Roma in the Europa League, Alonso under pressure. No, he's not under pressure if that's the case. He's after just winning a Bundesliga for the first time and he's unhinged by Bayern Munich. How is he under pressure for dropping a Europa League? He's guaranteed Champions League football next season. I don't think that's the case at all. And furthermore, I don't see that happening. But he's under no pressure. As far as he's concerned now, he's a god at Leverkusen now. VAR stadium announcements, I think the other 2 are actually bad for the game. They will keep it flowing a bit quicker though, won't they? But it's just, again, it's, on the MLS, they will have the technology and they'll have it down, they'll have it slick because that's what they have in a lot of their sports over there. I think if you put that into the Premier League, you'll have lads stumbling over the timing and miscommunication and all the usual stuff that goes with it. But definitely the VAR stadium announcements are a good one. Going like the NHL and that sport is fast paced, which I love. Yeah, I think it's not a bad show. It'll be interesting to see. Might see how it's going and what the reaction has been in the MLS maybe for next week's show. Would be pretty interesting to see. We don't need to do the Hall of Fame again. I just wanted to get Darren's thoughts on the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But we covered it with Mark on Monday and stuff like that. So there's no point in going over it again with you OGs in the chat. Ted, if somebody puts a rough challenge in on you, that isn't worth a yellow card. You were off for 2 minutes, which is a long time. Yeah, well, I think in those cases it will legitimize it. I think they're targeting more the guys that sit down, and then all of a sudden they get up and they're perfect. Messi with that nose could snot a keg of powder. Absolutely. So I never even looked at that actually. Hang on. Yeah. 2 tunnels there, all right, isn't there? UFC 304 Manchester just announced yesterday. Interesting. You are punished for somebody putting a bad challenge in on you. You are punished for someone putting a bad challenge in on you. Maybe, yeah. Maybe. Now's like a New York City subway. Yeah, absolutely. Right across that Brooklyn Bridge. Absolutely. What else? I don't think of anything else for you folks. That is it. I will be back tomorrow night for my sins. at some stage, probably doing a West Ham preview. I'm not sure whether I'll record it or go live. It'll be a recording because I'm supposed to be live tomorrow night with Ian. We're going to be doing a show tomorrow night, just coming on and just talking general stuff, Q&A stuff, whatever you guys want to join us about. You can ask whatever you want. Ian will be on. He'll certainly want to talk about pro wrestling. He'll certainly want to give his views on both WrestleMania. He'll give his views, I'm sure, on AEW and Dynasty. He'll certainly give his views on Becky picking up the women's belt. We spoke about it this week on WhatsApp. He'll be talking about all things Chelsea. I'm sure we'll get his views on Chelsea at the moment and how the season has gone and what he would like to see happen. And just a general chit chat. We can talk about anything. If you want to talk about TV shows, movies, whatever you want. If you want to talk about gaming, I don't game, but if you want to chat about it, we'll put it to him. Dean does a bit of gaming. Might even get him to talk about the band he's in at the moment. He's in a Thin Lizzy tribute band at the moment. We'll catch up with him, see how that's going and all, gigging and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see where it goes in there. But it'll be just a fun show. Just basically a fun show. No agenda. Nothing like that. Just talk about whatever we want. Kenny, my man. VAR rule would be great in the Premier League, but Howard Webb wouldn't be able to have his usual 2 weeks to come up with a BS excuse for a ref feck up. But sure, we can see through him anyway. He has no, he lacks such credibility now. It doesn't matter. I'm surprised Sky are even bothering with it. Roaring, that's what we'll do. Roaring tomorrow night. Becky Hogan, I love it with the marks crying. Yeah, that's a Hollywood Becky Hogan. Yeah. Do a collector's corner with him. Yeah, we might talk about stuff like that as well. Actually, yeah, that'd be no harm. Have a chat about stuff like that, maybe show a few bits. Yeah, so I'll tie you in with them tomorrow anyway. We'll put the show up in the morning. Make sure you're hitting the bell notification button so you get it. Probably around 8 o'clock, the show, I would say. Probably run for about an hour. So, yeah, we might even show a few bits and say, yeah, we'll do something. Just a on-the-fly kind of thing. Blood and Guts build-up start last night after Cocaine Can attack New Elite versus AEW Can team. We'd moved on from the fucking the nonsense, you know what I mean? I thought Dynasty had propelled us on from the nonsense. Just saying. Right, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the weekend if you can't join us tomorrow. And of course, check out the other shows that have gone up. As I said to you earlier, we did a review of the Liverpool game for the Shankly Sessions. I also did a review of the latest Dark Side of the Ring with Sherry Martel. So let me know your thoughts on them. Check them out. See what you think of them. Always open to discussion, comment, all that kind of stuff. Don't worry, Khan isn't going to ever be on a screen character. Jesus, he pushes for it at times though, doesn't he, Ted? Folks, have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again real soon. Cheers.